Imagine walking into a cutting-edge Olympic training facility. You know exactly what to expect, right?
Oh, yeah. Like you expect to see force plates on the floor, heart rate monitors strapped to chests.
Right. Maybe a high-speed treadmill. And
Yeah.
definitely, a coach yelling over the sound of clanking weights with a stopwatch in hand.
Exactly. It's a world built on sheer willpower, immediate output, and, real-time aggressive data. Faster, higher, stronger.
Faster, higher, stronger.
Right.
But then you step into the framework we're exploring today, and suddenly that loud gym goes completely silent.
Totally silent.
Yeah. We're replacing the stopwatch and the shouting with, of all things, a century-old book of Austrian poetry.
It is, it's the absolute definition of an unexpected paradigm shift. I mean, we're looking at a methodology that essentially asks, what if the key to unlocking peak human physical performance isn't found in a physiology textbook, but like in classic literature?
It's wild. Welcome back to another deep dive. Today, we're taking you on a journey that mashes up two worlds that honestly sound like they have absolutely no business being together.
None at all.
Right. Yet when you look closely, they fit together with just like terrifying precision. So we're diving into a presentation, an ebook created by Dr. Christophe Delong and Kinexa Formation.
Yeah, and this was published in 2025. It's episode 84, or, Roman numeral LXX4, of a series called Les Visionnaires du Geste.
Which translates to the visionaries of gesture.
Right, exactly. And the title of this specific work is La lettre au jeune athlète, the letter to a young athlete. But it's the subtitle that really sets the stage for everything we're going to talk about today.
Which is athletic presence and being.
Yep, athletic presence and being.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission today is to figure out why in the world a modern, highly sophisticated athletic training program is using a famous series of letters written to a poet in the early 1900s as its, ultimate blueprint for physical performance.
It sounds crazy when you say it out loud.
It really does. How does a dead poet help a live athlete jump higher, run faster, or, recover smarter?
Well, to understand that, we really have to start with the muse behind this entire project, from Dr. Christophe Delong and Kinexa.
Right.
The source material centers on Rainer Maria Rilke. He was a Bohemian Austrian poet who lived from 1875 to 1926. And the text explicitly refers to Rilke as the poet of total presence.
Total presence. When I was reading through the source notes on Rilke, I tried to, map that onto the reality of sports.
Oh, so.
Well, I started thinking about the sheer, intense cognitive focus required to write a masterpiece. You can't just casually churn out era-defining poetry while checking your phone or, thinking about your grocery list.
Definitely not. You have to be entirely locked into the moment.
Exactly. And for an athlete, that sounds exactly like what sports psychologists call the flow state.
Yes. The foundational architecture of the mind in those two states is, nearly identical.
Wow, really?
Yeah. If a poet needs total presence to craft a single perfect stanza, tuning out the world to access a state of pure creative flow, an athlete needs that exact same total presence to execute a physical gesture perfectly under immense pressure.
That makes so much sense. I mean, the output is different, obviously.
Right. One is ink on paper. The other is like a perfectly executed tennis serve.
But the internal demand is the same.
Exactly. And that's why Kinexa draws so heavily from Rilke's most famous work, Letters to a Young Poet. They position it not merely as literary advice, but as this universal guide for anyone seeking to develop a deep, authentic practice.
And there is a specific concept from Rilke that the Kinexa presentation zeroes in on. And it honestly, it stopped me in my tracks because it goes against every instinct a competitive athlete has.
Oh, I know exactly which one you mean. What's fascinating here is the specific Rilkean injunction they highlight. Vivre les questions.
Live the questions.
Right, live the questions. Kinexa Formation argues that this philosophy is the missing link in modern athletic development.
Let's really scrutinize that because, in sports, questions are usually treated as an infectious disease.
Oh, totally. They're a weakness.
Yeah. An athlete's brain is typically screaming questions like, am I fast enough?
Yeah.
Or is my knee going to hold up? Or, am I doing this footwork right?
Or why am I losing?
Exactly. And the entire coaching apparatus is designed to eliminate those questions immediately. They throw data at it, they run drills, they look at the tape to kill the question.
Put you down. Right.
But Rilke says, no, live in them.
Because rushing to the answer often means short-circuiting the actual growth. Let's make this concrete.
Okay. Yeah.
Imagine a professional tennis player who needs to completely rebuild their serve because their current technique is just like destroying their shoulder.
Ouch. Yeah, that happens a lot.
Right. And when they start changing that deeply ingrained physical habit, it feels terrible. The new biomechanics feel awkward. Their timing is totally off.
So suddenly they're double faulting against players they used to beat easily. Right, they hit the dreaded plateau. The performance drops off a cliff before it gets better.
Yep. And in that plateau, the athlete panics. The questions become deafening. Like, is this new serve a mistake? Or should I go back to my old serve just to win this next match?
Because the pressure is just so high.
Right. So to live the questions, as Kinexa applies it, is to endure the profound uncertainty of that training block. It is the patience to sit in the discomfort of transformation rather than, abandoning the process just to get an immediate, comfortable result.
Wow, so Rilke called the patience of transformation.
Exactly.
I genuinely love the philosophy.
Right.
It's elegant. But I have to play devil's advocate here.
Go for it.
It is lovely to sit down in a quiet room and tell a hyper-competitive 19-year-old Olympic hopeful to live the questions and possess the patience of transformation.
Sure.
But we live in a reality of stats,
Yeah.
of multi-million-dollar contracts, of performance metrics. How do you actually apply a poet's patience to a modern athlete?
It's a great point. Like, how does Kinexa turn this into a tangible training program and not just like a philosophy seminar?
Well, that is the pivotal transition in the source material. In Chapter 3, we move to technology. This is where Kinexa and Dr. Christophe Delong build the bridge between 1926 and 2025.
Okay, the tech side.
Right. The text outlines Kinexa's primary vision, which directly addresses your skepticism. Their vision is, and I quote, "to make visible the transformation that is too slow to perceive with the naked eye."
Okay, I have to push back hard on that too.
Okay.
I understand the concept of like a time-lapse camera watching a tree grow. You stare at a tree, you don't see it growing. You set up a camera for 6 months, you see the visible growth. That's a great metaphor.
Right.
But a tree is physical. Kinexa's mission statement says they want to measure athletic presence. That sounds like a state of mind.
It does sound abstract, yeah.
So how exactly is a piece of technology quantifying a philosophical concept like presence or transformation without just being, a glorified smartwatch that buzzes when your heart rate drops? That is the exact right question to ask, and it requires us to unpack the actual science Kinexa is deploying. When they talk about athletic presence, they aren't talking about, like, a mystical aura.
Okay, what are they talking about then?
They're talking about the absolute measurable synchronization between the central nervous system and biomechanical output.
Oh, so we are talking about the actual electrical signals in the body.
Yes. Think about what a coach can see with the naked eye. A coach sees the macro movements. Did the ball go in the hoop? Did the runner's foot cross the line?
Right, the obvious stuff.
But what they cannot see are the micro adaptations. When an athlete learns a new skill, their brain literally rewires the electrical signal sent to their muscles so they fire, a fraction of a second faster or with a slightly different recruitment pattern.
And Kinexa can see that?
Yeah. Kinexa uses a combination of wearable electromyography EMG sensors that read the electrical activity of muscles and ultra-high frame rate spatial cameras.
Wait, so they are mapping the exact millisecond a motor neuron fires against the exact millimeter a joint moves in space?
Precisely. Kinexa's technology serves as that time-lapse camera for the nervous system.
That is insane.
Right. The athlete might feel like they're failing because they keep missing the tennis serve, but the Kinexa system can show them definitively, like, you missed the serve, but your neuromuscular coordination improved by 4% today. The new neural pathway is forming.
Oh, I see. It's like a seismic monitor for human movement.
A seismic monitor. I like that.
Yeah, like the athlete is standing on the ground waiting for the earthquake, the big visible improvement in their game. They don't feel anything, so they think nothing is happening.
Right.
But the Kinexa sensors are like seismic monitors buried deep in the earth, detecting the massive tectonic shifts happening beneath the surface. The data proves the transformation is happening long before the earth actually shakes.
That is a phenomenal analogy. By making those invisible micro-adaptations visible, Kinexa validates the patience the athlete is being asked to endure.
So they don't give up.
Exactly. The technology gives them the empirical proof they need to live the questions without losing their mind.
That is wild. They are literally using cutting-edge spatial and biometric data to prove that Rilke's poetry is working.
And to prove that this isn't just a superficial marketing gimmick where they, like, slap a Rilke quote on a software dashboard, Dr. DeLong and Kinexa actually mapped out an entire athletic curriculum based on 5 specific works by Rilke.
Right, they call them the 5 resources in the text.
Yes, and this is where the integration of Dr. DeLong's medical background with Rilke's literature becomes incredibly granular. They use these 5 texts to trace the entire evolutionary journey of an elite athlete.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's walk through this journey, because seeing how they chain these classic texts together into a biomechanical curriculum is just, it's brilliant.
Let's do it.
So the first step on the athlete's journey is the text we already touched on, Letters to a Young Poet.
Right. The source defines this as the search for the foundation. In the book, Rilke tells the young poet to stop looking outward for validation and to stop mimicking others.
So for an athlete,
Kinexa translates this to mean stop trying to perfectly copy Roger Federer's forehand or, Usain Bolt's stride.
because you aren't there.
Exactly. Your femur is a different length. Your muscle insertions are different. The foundation of athletic integrity is discovering the authentic mechanics of your own specific body.
So step 1 is recognizing that you need to find your own internal form. But once you accept that, how do you actually find it? You can't just stare in a mirror.
No, you can't.
That logically brings us to the second resource Kinexa uses, the notebooks of Malte Lourd's Bridge.
Exactly. Rilke's novel is described in the source as the ultimate guide to the observation of the inner world. If step 1 is knowing you have an authentic form, step 2 is developing the mental discipline to sense it.
Because we often think of sports as an entirely external expression, right? But athletic excellence is fundamentally an inside job.
It really is.
It's proprioception.
Yeah.
It's the ability to know exactly where your arm is in space without looking at it. It's monitoring your own internal fatigue, the tension in your fascia, your breath rate.
All of those invisible cues.
Yeah. If you cannot acutely observe your inner world, as Rilke writes about in that book, you have zero hope of controlling your outer physical expression.
But here is the challenge every athlete eventually faces. The inner physical world you're observing today will not be the same world you inhabit tomorrow.
Right. The body ages.
It does. And that necessitates Kinexa's third resource, the Duino elegies.
Right, because if you are perfectly in tune with your 20-year-old body, that data is completely useless when you turn 30.
Exactly. The Kinexa presentation highlights the Duino elegies as the great poetic work where transformation is viewed as a human destiny.
Think about the arc of a professional career, right? At 18, an athlete relies on raw, explosive, fast-twitch muscle fibers. By 28, those fibers are changing. Cartilage degrades.
Recovery windows stretch out.
Yeah. And many athletes view this evolution as a tragedy. They fight it, they train identically to how they did a decade prior, and they end up catastrophically injured.
Because they refuse to let the form evolve. So Kinexa uses the Duino elegies to teach the athlete that this physical breakdown and rebuilding isn't a failure. It is the inevitable destiny of the human body.
You have to adapt your technique to the vessel you currently possess. Like a pitcher who loses their 100-mile-per-hour fastball has to learn how to throw a devastating changeup.
Yes, you flow with the transformation instead of fighting it. Which brings us to the actual execution of that evolving movement. Step 4 in the curriculum is based on sonnets to Orpheus.
Oh, I love this one.
The source describes this work as the song of the body and soul in perpetual movement.
I'm so glad we got to this one. Perpetual movement. When I read that, it almost felt like Rilke was writing a thesis on kinetic energy entirely by accident.
It is a stunning description of athletic grace, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
When you watch a gymnast contort in midair or a basketball player hanging in the paint, seemingly defying gravity, it really is a song of the body.
But Kinexa focuses on the word soul in that description. It's not just meat and bones moving rigidly through space.
Right. It can't be robotic.
Exactly. To achieve true greatness, there has to be an animating spirit, a fluidity, a specific intention driving the kinetic chain. Otherwise, you're just a robot executing a programmed macro movement.
And Kinexa's technology is designed to measure the harmony of that movement, not just the raw output. They are looking at the fluidity of the kinetic chain.
But to capture something that complex, that subtle over an entire career, well, that requires an observer that never tires.
Right, and that leads to the final fifth resource that ties the whole framework together.
Yeah.
Letters on Cézanne.
Yeah.
So Rilke, writing about the famous painter Paul Cézanne, step 5 is about how the machine actually watches the athlete.
The source notes that this text is about the patience of the gaze, learning to truly see what transforms slowly. Cézanne would sit in front of a mountain, the Montagne Sainte-Victoire, and stare at it for hours, days, weeks.
Just watching it.
He observed the microscopic shifts in light, shadow, and geometry. He had the patience to truly look at reality without imposing his assumptions on it.
Okay, let me see if I can synthesize this. The human eye of a coach, no matter how brilliant or experienced they are, gets tired.
Of course.
A coach blinks. They get distracted by the emotion of a game or, their own biases about how an athlete should move. But Kinexa's spatial cameras and EMG sensors, they don't blink. They don't get emotional. They just watch.
They are the ultimate embodiment of the patience of the gaze.
The technology is Cézanne looking at the mountain. It watches the athlete with the tireless, meticulous attention of a master painter. It sees the micro-adaptations in a knee ligament over a 6-month training block that the athlete and the coach are entirely blind to. Kinexa literally built a machine to execute Rilke's philosophy.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what Dr. Christophe Delong and Kinexa Formation have achieved here is a profound reframing of human potential.
It really is.
They're actively pushing back against the hyper-industrialized instant gratification model of the modern sports complex. They're treating the athlete's body not as an engine to be redlined for immediate output, but as a living, evolving work of art. And like any masterpiece, it requires internal observation, the acceptance of natural evolution, and the enduring dedication of a master artist to truly perfect.
So what does this all mean for you, listening to this deep dive right now? Look, you're probably not training for the next Olympics.
Probably not.
You might just be trying to master a new programming language or trying to navigate a massive pivot in your career, or honestly, just trying to be a more patient parent with a toddler.
All valid forms of transformation.
Yeah, the core concept of athletic presence and finding your authentic form and having the patience to let it evolve isn't just for elite sprinters. It's the fundamental truth that real structural transformation in our lives is painfully slow. It is almost always invisible to the naked eye on a day-to-day basis.
Which is why the urge to quit during the plateau is so overwhelming. We desperately need to learn how to live the questions and not panic when the immediate answers evade us.
Exactly. If you expect a massive change overnight, whether in the gym or in your life, you're setting yourself up to fail. But if you adopt the patience of the gaze, if you trust the process and believe that the tectonic plates beneath the surface are shifting even when the earth isn't shaking yet, you build something sustainable. You build a deep, authentic practice.
And we highly recommend looking deeper into the source of this incredible framework. The text is the 2025 ebook La Lettre aux Jeunes Athlètes, which serves as episode 84 of Les Visionnaires du Geste. It was beautifully crafted by Dr. Christophe Delong and Kinexa Formation. You can explore more of their paradigm-shifting work at kinexa.ai.
It really is going to change how I look at any kind of physical or mental training from now on. I mean, the idea of trading the stopwatch for a deeper understanding of our own presence is incredibly powerful.
It is. And this raises an important question, something for you to mull over after we sign off today.
Let's hear it.
Kinexa's technology is successfully built to measure the slow, invisible physical transformations of an athlete's body over time. They are using data to quantify the invisible poetry of physical movement.
Which, just on a scientific level, is an astonishing leap forward.
But if technology is now capable of capturing the invisible poetry of the physical body, what other invisible transformations in our daily human experience might soon be measured by machines?
Oh, wow.
If a sensor can validate the patience of an athlete's physical transformation, will we soon have algorithms that can accurately map out our emotional resilience, our mental focus, or the exact trajectory of our personal psychological growth over time?
That's intense.
And if we do reach a point where our deepest, most internal human transformations can be plotted on a graph, would seeing that data fundamentally change how we experience our own humanity?
That is a fascinating, slightly terrifying, and beautiful thought to leave on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Kinexa Formation and the poetry of athletic presence. Go leave the questions today, be patient with your own invisible transformations, and we will catch you on the next one.